greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free. What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
And yes, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. As always, I'm your host, V. And, you know, the show has been doing well. We're doing so many things. There's going to be so many guests, so many whistleblowers, so many victims of the system, so many people with excellent insight on what's going on. And there are other people out there that are just crying out for help. And today we have with us Alan Bellima. I'm hoping I'm not butchering that. I'm used to
calling. A little bit, man. It's all good.
And I actually had you on my radio show a year and a half, well, yeah, almost 2 years ago. And
okay.
It was actually a very awesome episode, but it didn't get saved. So I'm sorry, guys. I don't have the link to give you so you can listen to the show. But don't fret. We have him here on the show today. And as far as I can understand, today's topic, we're going to be discussing Morgellons disease or some chemtrail sickness. What's going on with you?
Well, from the last time that we talked on the radio show, my wife and I, we got a property and have about 3 acres set back off the main road. And a lot of things have changed since then. It seems that our targeting, because they don't have access to us now, in like an apartment setting or anything like that, they decided that probably the best way to torture us would be by spraying us every night with chemtrails and nano. And so things have really taken a turn. I don't want to say for the worst, but I guess it has, because I'm a lot sicker than I ever have been. And everything that I'm doing now, before I was always, counteract the gang stalking, counteracting the direct energy weapons, which I still try and do. But my main focus right now is basically to get the heavy metals out of our system, and trying to actually survive day to day, because basically our systems are shutting down from all the nano that they're dumping on us. And our biggest thing now is we're tracking the airplanes that fly over us on a daily basis. We've submitted FOIA requests with the FAA to do historical backgrounds on how many planes were flying over our property a year before we bought this place, and then how many have been flying over us since we bought this place. Well, the FAA, in their their wisdom, sent us back the responsive documents, and 6 months of 2016 was missing, and 6 months of 2017 was missing. And that was because the machine timed out, the computer timed out. So now I have to resubmit everything back to the FAA to see if they can do it again, because they wanted to charge me some ridiculous amount of money, to go through a computer glitch. And it says, "Oh, we're sorry, the data is just not there." Well, no, the computer timed out. So basically, that is our main gist right now, is getting the historical data from the FAA, chronicling how the increase in flight patterns have dramatically increased over our property. But what's even more interesting is how these planes deviate off a flight plan just to fly over our house. A lot of the planes that we've identified are from universities. Some are CIA, FBI. Some of our FBI, CIA, or whatever alphabet soup organizations that are using companies based out of Delaware, so they don't have to give out the name. But what we want to do eventually is to file a lawsuit just for noise pollution. If we can win that, then we go after them for harassment. Take baby steps, win a couple civil cases, then take that and go after them for harassment, and then hopefully eventually go after them, for spraying us. But right now, the temperature in the United States government, where everything is really happening, as far as the takedown of the deep state, it's a good time to really push forward and try and get something in legislation, and at least paying us out for our hell that we're going through.
Well, I absolutely agree. But before we go too much further into that, I want to get the audience a little bit more acquainted with you. You're a biker, and I'll let you tell a story, but I want people to understand what relevance your past might have with your current situation.
Sure. Well, prior to meeting my wife in 2010, I was an executive vice president for a major software firm specializing in high volume printing software. And I actually got promoted, and I ran all Latin America operations for a company for about 7 years. So I was traveling extensively to Mexico, Brazil, and I was at one time basically living in Mexico and flying back home maybe once a month. Now, this was right after 9/11, and it seems that after 9/11, TSA got really strict and stuff like that. Well, now when we look back, I believe I was targeted because I was flying in and out of the United States so often, and he had to increase the numbers to justify the increase in funding and security specialists that are basically targeting Americans. So that's, I believe, why things happen. I met my wife in 2010, and she was a happy, healthy, social. She was a CFO for a custom home builder. She did real well. I was, like I said, a vice president and traveled to Mexico all the time. I had plenty of money. I had a Harley. Whatever I wanted, I had. I had a great life. Tons of friends in Mexico and Chicago, and I lived in Florida. Anyways, so we started dating and fell in love, and things were going really good. And I was with an organization, motorcycle club, and it was my birthday on July 20th, and on the 24th in 2011, we're riding back from Cedar Key with a couple other couples for my birthday, and a red Corvette started messing with us and wouldn't leave us alone after a huge swarm of white cars. And I didn't know what targeting was back then. It was the farthest thing on my radar. Long story short, the Corvette cut me off, and I went down at about 75 miles per hour. Was knocked unconscious and basically dead on the scene of the accident. And my wife, she skidded, and I did cartwheels for 154 feet, and wound up going to University of Florida, Gainesville, Shands Hospital. And what's really crazy about all this is they discharged me 2 days later without even cleaning my wounds, without giving me barely any pain medicine, and basically threw me out of the hospital. I have no idea why. So now I look back at being targeted. Now I understand why. But so after that motorcycle wreck, there was no way I could work. I mean, I had road rash over 80% of my body, cracked skull. My wife, she had some facial wounds, and her wrist was broken, and so we were banged up pretty bad. And now we look back, that was all because of gang stalking. Because I had a significant amount of money at that time, I decided I was going to retire, at least part-time. And my wife and I decided that we'll open up a motorcycle shop. That's what was my hobby. I love biking. I was in a club. So we opened up a really great motorcycle shop, and did that for about a year and a half or so. And next thing I know, I get a phone call from one of the guys, and they say, "Hey, you need to get back into town." something's going on with the shop. Well, I went in there and my mechanic basically cleaned out everything out of the shop. I mean, everything except for the new stuff. So all the used parts, all the tools, everything's gone.
They cleaned you out.
Sure. Yeah, they cleaned us out, and so we couldn't keep the motorcycle shop open. So all the money that we invested, basically our retirement money, was gone. And at the same time, we had a beach house that we were renting. All of a sudden, our lease was not going to be renewed, and this was a month before the lease was up. So all of a sudden, next thing you know, we're homeless. So we lose the bike shop. All of a sudden, we lose, where we're going to live. So I'm kind of scrambling here. Then my wife comes home from work at 9:30 in the morning. She starts at 9. She says, "I just lost my job." And I said, what are you talking about? You've been there 9 years. How do you just lose your job? She goes, I really don't know. It is what it is, but it was really a hard thing for us to deal with. So we wind up finding a place in Lake County, Florida, with another couple, and it was a brother of mine from the motorcycle club. And so we packed up everything and moved out to Lake County. And I decided I was going to start doing some consulting work, some sales, some advertising, marketing, stuff like that. So I said, well, Amy, you can help me. You can be my executive assistant. And so that's what we did. We went out, we started pounding on doors, and we started getting some work. And at the same time, I noticed my wife slipping. And you have to understand, my wife, she was the best of the best, man. She'd work circles around me. She was way smarter than me.
So you said your wife, you seem to have noticed her slipping a bit. Cognitive?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean by
it
that?
Was, she had the best executive skills I've ever seen in my life. She multitasked like no one. And it seemed like I'd be like, okay, well, I need you to review these contracts. Because when I do contracts, I just write as fast as I can and get them done. And then she'd go back and spell, change them to civilians and that kind of stuff. Well, next thing I know, I've got 3 contracts to submit. 2 of them are proofread, and 1 of them isn't. And I'd be like, hey, what happened? Oh, I thought I did that. So her memory was slipping. And then I noticed that when she talked, she'd start slurring. And I was like, holy cow, did she have a stroke or something like that? And my wife and I, we never fought. Never. I could do what I want. And all of a sudden, we start fighting about little things. And things started progressing to the point where one day we got into a fight and she left the house. She just jumped in the truck and left. About a half hour later, she calls me up crying. She says, I don't know where I'm at. And I lost my wallet. Okay. My wife, number one, is you can't get lost where we live. It's pretty small. And number 2 is she don't lose things, especially her wallet. So I jumped on my Harley and I rode down to where she was at, which is literally about 2 miles from the house on the main street. And I looked for her wallet. I couldn't find it. I said, can you find her way home? And she said, yeah, I think I can. I think I can. So she left. I handled the people at the gas station, if you know what I mean. And I went home and I said, Aim, listen, we're going to get you taken care of, baby. I think something's going on here with your brain. And so that day I took her to an emergency room and talked to them and said, listen, her memory, she can't think. She lost her memory and she's slurring. So they gave her a CT scan. And they came back and they said, well, there's nothing wrong. We think she needs mental help. They said, mental help? What are you talking about, mental help? She's got headaches and she's got memory loss. And so we just left. And I was really confused about why they would say mental help. So 2 to 3 days later, she's having a real bad day, a real bad headache. And so I take her to another ER, to another hospital. 8 hours later, CT scan, doctor comes back, says her vitamins were a little bit low, so we gave her a vitamin bag, and her brain's fine, but she needs mental help. I said, no, she doesn't, man. I said, what are you talking about, mental help? You haven't even talked to her, really. She had a vitamin. She's got memory loss. She's got slurring in her speech. And so we left, and I, again, dumbfounded. So a friend of ours was a nurse, and she saw what was going on. She said, Alan, she probably needs an MRI. Maybe she's having mini seizures in her brain because a CT scan won't pick those up. And at this time, we had no health insurance, so I really was kind of at a loss on how to get an MRI. So about a week later, she was so bad, I was in tears. I took her to the county, to their health department, and it was a volunteer. His name was Joe. I'll never forget him. God bless him. And he saw Amy and he says, listen, I'm just going to, if it was my wife, I'd take her to an urgent care facility and do whatever it takes to get her medical attention. I said, you're right, man. I'm going to do this. And I did. I took her to an urgent care facility and basically begged this woman, who was the nurse practitioner, to give Amy an MRI. Well, after 2 hours and a battery of tests and, listening to my wife answer these questions was like nails on a chalkboard as she's slurring her speech. This is coming 6-8 months ago. My wife was the best of the best, and seeing her go down like this killed me. So I got the MRI script. Next day, I gave her an MRI. And the following day, I get a call from the doctor as I'm walking into an appointment. And I couldn't answer it. I just couldn't. So we start the meeting. I says, excuse me, I forgot something in the truck. And I went out to the truck and I called the doctor. I had to find out what was going on. And they said that Amy's got a brain flare up and you need to be here before 7 o'clock. And she's terminally ill and she's a cancer. Well, just get here and we'll discuss it. So we went there and she was diagnosed with a brain disorder called Chiari malformation type 1. She had a 9mm herniation of her brain that basically was 9mm sunk into her spine.
And what is the cause of this? Usually, I mean, is this a common disease? I've never heard of it.
No, it's very rare, and there's a lot of people that are born with it and go throughout life, and they die, and they never even knew they had Chiari. A lot of children get it, and actually, I should say a lot. It's a very rare brain disorder, but children get it when they're born. They have a malformation of their skull and their brain, the way it sits. The other way of getting it is if Amy was born with it, she could have hit her head and that started the symptoms. Hence the accident in 2011 when we went down on a motorcycle. Okay. Or she could have even sneezed to cause it. Mm-hmm. Now, there's only one way to cure Chiari, and it's not a cure, it's a fix. And that was to have brain surgery. And it's like rolling the dice. It's a 50-50 shot that she'll get a little bit better, or she's going to get a lot worse and then basically just die. And most people that are adults that have Chiari, a lot of them commit suicide because of the pain of the headaches and the pressure in their brain. And yeah, Amy had it so bad that there were a lot of times where I couldn't leave her alone because I was afraid what she was going to do. So
that must have been extremely terrifying because for someone dealing with chronic headaches, I can tell you it's not fun. Chronic neck pains, these sort of things, and I really believe. I mean, there's so many causes for these things. Have you come to a guess as to what it is? I mean, you mentioned the wreck, but I mean, what do you really think?
What I really think is, well, basically, the symptoms that Amy had were that her right side of her body and mostly her right arm started going numb, and she was having real problems using her hands and dexterity, severe headaches, right above the right eye, slurring of the speech, things like that. And we went down the path where she had brain surgery and she got worse and she got a little better and it's been back and forth and now she's back to square one again. But here's the interesting thing. In the last year, now I have most of the symptoms of Chiari malformation type 1. I have severe headaches. I have mental confusion a lot. I have no dexterity whatsoever. I'm off balance, vertigo. These are all the things that Amy suffered from that actually we wound up finding she had Chiari. Now, do I believe she has Chiari? I know she does. But do I believe that's the problem? sometimes, but no. I believe it's because we're getting hit in the head with direct energy weapons, and they're creating TBIs, with traumatic brain injuries. She has them. We have MRIs. She has a TBI. I don't believe it's from the accident. I believe it's because we keep getting hit in the frontal lobe.
Well, I was actually going to say this disease is not contagious. No. So for you to develop the same symptoms, I mean, actually, again, I can relate. And the thing that we all have in common is that we're target individuals. So,
right. Well, there's one other thing. Yeah. Before you go on, and this is real crucial because there's another type of Chiari, and it hurts me to even say it because I don't feel well about it. And certain people have gotten Chiari malformation because of exposure to very strong toxins or chemical agents that could cause a problem inside and cause a malformation in your brain. That leads into a whole other realm where they could have poisoned Amy and I with some toxins. Hers developed a lot more quickly than mine did. But that would really kind of justify why I say that now I have all the same symptoms and I probably have Chiari. Now, unfortunately, I'm a jerk and I will not go to the hospital. I won't. I don't want anything to do with them people, you know, to find out if I do have Chiari. Now, if I get worse, I'm sure my wife's going to demand I go, but I'm pretty sure I have it or something similar. And knowing what you know and what I know, V, of what these people do, it does not surprise me if we were exposed to some really, really severe toxic chemicals or something that caused these malformations in her brain and potentially mine.
Well, actually, that's the thing. They're coming out with different concoctions within these chemtrails all the time, different nano materials, nanoparticulates combined with different chemical agents. And when you combine that with blankets of frequencies, I mean, it's really just weapons testing and seeing what diseases that they can create. This is absolutely, I mean, they killed Prince. If you're talking about this, Prince noticed the difference. I noticed the difference. And yeah, this is something that people need to understand. You know, it's not just more gallons. It's not just, I mean, the whole transhuman agenda is just that. I mean, we're all going to turn out something that's not a human. We're making a transition away from anything that's human.
I agree.
And it's horrendous. You have videos and pictures. Please let me know when to throw that into the show. We can take a pause and
let me go back to where I was at. So, anyways, Amy, I wound up finding her the best surgeon in the country, Dr. Trumbull out of Orlando. And to make a long story short, she had brain surgery, and we had no health insurance. The day before, at 4:00 on Thursday, we got her health insurance. She had brain surgery on Friday at 6 a.m. So God looked out for us there. And then fast forward a little bit, that's when all the overt targeting started on us. And I found out I was a target and Amy was a target. They started with the gang stalking. And at that time, I was with the motorcycle club, a major one of the biggest ones in the world. And when that happened, I really didn't know how to handle this. What the hell's going on? I wound up Googling being followed by many, being stalked by many people at one time, and I found fightgangstalking.com, and then, you know, it enlightened me to what the hell was going on. And ever since then, I have been a student of the game. I do intel nonstop. I've identified a lot of the perps doing me and Amy. And then in August of 2015, August 18th, I was leaving one of our support clubhouses. And I'm riding. And at the same time, our lease didn't get renewed on the house that we're living. Imagine that. It's the second time in, what, 2.5 years. And next thing I know, I wake up and I'm visiting someone in the hospital. Well, I was visiting myself because it was me. A drunk driver running red light, and I hit him at about 65 miles per hour. What's really interesting is there was a hospital 4 minutes away from the accident. I was transported an hour and a half away. I went into a full cardiac seizure and cardiac arrest and seizure when I got to the hospital. And they found 3 drugs in my system. 2 of them I haven't done in months and months, probably about a year before that. So I believe they hot dosed me, trying to take me out, and it didn't work. I had bleeding on the brain in 2 different areas, and separated shoulder, and I had more internal injuries than I did physical. And after that, I had to leave the club that I was in because there was no way I could do anything. I was in really bad shape. So from there, we went up to Chicago to stay with my parents and I could heal up. Then we went on a run for about a year. Wound up going down to Mexico and staying with a friend of mine. He got me an apartment down there, and I worked in Mexico. I love Mexico, and that was our dream, was to retire there. I figured, well, hell, we'll outrun this targeting. We'll go down to Mexico. $300 a month to live on the ocean. Love Mexico. That's their dream. 3 weeks there, our world came crashing down on us. Everything shut down. The cartel was involved. So now I look at it, and yeah, the cartel was involved big time. They shut everything down. We barely made it out of Mexico alive. We had money wire transferred to us. They wouldn't even give us the money in the banks. They said the number was wrong. So we got some money put on a bank card, and we got out of town. And long story short, my parents and Amy's parents saw what was happening to us. My parents, my father, he knows I don't lie. He knows I'm not full of shit. But it's a hard pill to swallow when you tell your father or your son tells you that they're being gang stalked and being hit with direct energy weapons. And but my father knows, why would I make this shit up? If I was going to make something up, it would be a hell of a lot better than being a targeted individual, man. Come on. But my father, he knew I was not lying. He saw what was going on firsthand. And him and Amy's mother put some money together because, you know, we're flat broke, we're homeless. And it took us about 4 or 5 months to find a place to buy. And we wound up getting to where we're at now, which is, you know, 3 acres set back, and basically turned it into a compound. But from day one we moved out here, our security cameras, which I got them everywhere because it's a compound, you know, I protect myself. All of a sudden we see on the cameras at night, it's a blizzard, snowing, these orb things, and I'm like, what the hell? So I started doing research on this, and someone said, well, it's fog. You got fog coming in. I said, well, it don't look like fog to me. And this went on for about a month or 2 or 3, and I'm just like, every night, an hour, sometimes 5 hours, 10 hours, it looks like it's a blizzard. And if you want to put on that video I sent you, that'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. I make short little clips now almost every night of it, but it goes on. Last night, it went on for 10 hours straight. That there was nonstop nano being dropped on us. And these are, it's done with graphene, or graphene with nanotubes and nanobots infused inside the graphene. But the big thing is, how do we counter this stuff? But when you see the video, it's a hard thing to do. Is you look at your security monitor and you see they're dumping this stuff on you for 10 hours straight, and the whole time I'm detoxing out. How do you get over it? How can you win? So, but yeah, now it might be a good time to show that video.
All right, and we'll show it. Yeah.
Like I said, well, in the past, anyone that had lost it's a new one.
I want people to buy this. People buy Lou Garino's book.
Yeah, guys, it's on Amazon. You can check it up on the author, Lou Garino, Garino. You can go to my Facebook page. business newsmakers. You can order it on there. You can go to Amazon. The book is called Fear and Loathing, Voting in America 2016. But it's more than just a voting book and about apathy. It's about how we got to this point in history. So it could be relevant in 2020 as well. How did we get here right now? What were the set of circumstances politically and socially that melted to this point where our country is the way it is right now? Where they have divided us. And when I say they, we're not divided amongst ourselves. We're united, man. I live in one of the most culturally diverse cities in America, in the world, Houston, Texas. People open the door for each other. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Howdy. There's no hate. It's all what they're selling on TV through their psychological operations. So it's all about that. It's all about how the Clintons came to power, the Bushes, you name it, guys. Fear and Loathing, Voting in America 2016. It's a must read. It gives you a different look as opposed to the partisan views. It gives you an anti-partisan view about how this country started without any parties whatsoever, and about how they collaborated to take control of our country. So you get a chance, give it a read. It's not too long. It's not War and Peace. I make the points rather quickly. Fear and Loathing, Voting in America 2016. And I also want to encourage you to stay tuned to this new television show that is enlightening the world. This is illuminating the people that are illuminating us. So we've got to stay true. We've got to seek the truth, and we've got to keep endlessly seeking the truth. So stay tuned, guys, and keep watching.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ella Free from the Triumph Over Targeting podcast and Whistleblower Nation on Revolution Radio, and coordinator of the umbrella organization and promotional site freedomfortargeted.individuals.org. Today, I'm going to be here with Terry Brewer from gangstalkingcrimes.com, and we're going to be doing some public outreach on the local level here in Portland, Oregon. I feel that in order to stop the programs that are destroying countless lives and animals, we must first educate the public. It is only the public's acceptance of this information that is going to facilitate the changes that need to occur. There needs to be public outrage. So what can you do to contribute to be a part of this, to help facilitate this change? Well, we all have a unique gift and skill set that can be used to help us with this monumentous movement. It is what we do with what you have that matters. If you can write letters, start letter writing campaigns, go to your city council and demand change. Bring the most credible and believable information in an organized manner to support your claims and your cause. If you like to talk, make calls, call reporters, investigative journalists, newsstands, newspapers, connect with others. Maybe you can go out and do what Terry's doing. He'll even send you the flyers to hand out. And I know that, some people are fearful of doing activism, of being a part of the movement. And all I can say is this: don't let fear make the decision for you. So everybody, get out there, do something, make a difference, because this is a difference that has to be made for future generations and for the futures of our children, grandchildren, and all generations to come. Thank you.
Hello, I'm B from the Red Pill Hardcore TV show, and I'm here to deliver a message to you. I am standing up, and I think you guys should stand up too. What are we standing up for? Clean air. The New World governments have been spraying aluminum, strontium, barium, all kinds of nano-particles, salts, heavy metals, and we are losing our environment. We have trees with aluminum toxicity. Our wildlife is disappearing, one species at a time. We have weather warfare weaponry. If there is anything such as global warming, well, we have ionospheric heaters that's dramatically bombarding our atmosphere. All this damage can be done to the environment by these nano-particles being sprayed into the atmosphere. We know that it's causing respiratory issues. We know that it's causing autism. We know that it's causing Morgellons, the transhumanistic disease. What else is it doing? I think it may just be altering our minds. Watch my movie, and then you decide.
Like I said, not, well, in the past, anyone that puts a new one, like I said, not, well, in the past, anyone that had lost.
Okay, and so that video, I mean, you're recording this all the time over your house,
Almost every night. Yeah.
every night. And so it seems, I mean, this is in Mexico?
No, this is here, right here
Oh.
in Florida. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's brutal, man. And what's wild is I slow down the video to about 125th slow speed, and I crop out pictures of the nano that's coming down. And I expand it, I manipulate the lighting so I can see what it looks like. Well, I've got a whole database of that. And then because I start detoxing, I start getting these sores. I've got them all over my face. And I mean, my arm, I mean, right here, I mean, you can see all the little holes and scars. I'm covered in Morgellons, man. And it's some dirty, nasty, I don't even want to talk about it, but what I do sometimes, I lose my mind a little bit because of it. I start cutting myself open and pulling these nanobots out. And I've got a microscope, and my wife, she takes the samples, and we photograph them, and we've got slides with the bots that are literally coming out of my body. And some of the stuff, I call it high-tech equipment. You know, I'll tell you what, man, these things got to be worth a lot of money. And then the other thing is I do these saline baths trying to get the biofilm off my skin. And we're trying to, you know, we don't have money, so we try and do what we can. So I bought a blow-up bathtub that we fill up, you know, and well, now the thing popped because I have so many nanocrystals coming out of me. And Amy saves them when she empties out the water. She filters it, and we have just, you know, these little containers just filled with all these nanocrystals that are so sharp they cut up the bathtub. So now I'm without a bathtub. We're gonna get another one, but the stuff that we're ingesting and they're dumping on us. At one time, it saturated me and networked inside my body, and I sent you some pictures on that. And literally on my chest, all the sores developed into a bot. It looked like a picture of a bot on my body of sores. And it's not for a weak mind, man. Let me tell you that, because it has taken me to the limits of seeing this stuff on me, pulling it out of me. And now I just block it out. It's just another day, man. But I'm going to tell you what, for anyone listening to this and they start getting sores and they start seeing images on their body of this stuff, stay strong, man, and you'll get through it, because this will test you. You need to have one strong conviction to make it through this. And why people commit suicide is, I see it, I feel it. It is the worst torture you can go through, besides the remote neural monitoring, besides all the NLP they do, and all the other stuff they do. When you start seeing this stuff on your body, I look like I've aged probably 20 years in the last 2 years, brother. I mean, it's brutal. I was a halfway decent looking guy. Now I'm like a goddamn leper. But you know what? I wear it with a badge of honor when I go out in public, because I'm not going to let them win. They're not going to win. And but yeah, this stuff is serious business.
Well, and if I may, also for the people who start getting these lesions, these rashes, the metallic fibers, the multicolor objects that come out of them. document, take pictures, take video, do audio, video testimony, because it's not parasitosis.
No, it's not.
And if you've got physical evidence, this is not paranoia. This is not some, drug addict scratching himself thinking he's covered in ants. No, this is not that. I can tell you, this is real, it exists, and we all need to step out, because they're gonna turn you. This is gonna be the dawn of the dead. The walking mutants around. I mean, this whole Illumitard construct, their plans. It's absurd. They think they're gonna do whatever they want with anybody, and that's just not the case. I've got some plans to meet up. A similar team. I've got several designs for things to alleviate the symptoms of these things, and hopefully try to reverse some of this experimentation and weaponizing of people and population control, because this is horrendous. They don't want to admit to doing it, so hey, if we've got treatments and cures, let's go ahead and support each other and get ourselves fixed up. Do your research, because I know a high silicate diet, that's something you gotta have. You gotta do your best to stay away from a lot of dirty electricity. So
Yeah, good luck with that, though.
yeah,
It's rough.
Our atmosphere is pulsating with harp oscillations to tune us all in. It's sort of a particle frequency resonance. It's actually called bioplasmonics. It's a very little known science that these people are using right now, and it's horrendous. We've got to educate ourselves. We've got to get aware. We got to stand up. We got to shove it back up their asses. So
Well, speaking of asses, the best thing that, and this is coming from someone who I do not go to doctors. I don't like any of that stuff. But the couple things that I've done that were passed along to me, the best thing I've done to help myself was a colon cleanse and a kidney flush. I did a chanca piedra, which is a mineral or a herb. I took this thing, it's an eyedropper, and I did it 3 or 4 times. I went to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I'm peeing black. Next thing I know, all this dust started coming out. I was almost in kidney failure, because all the nano that's inside of you, the reason why it's coming through the skin is because your kidneys are backed up, your colon's backed up, and it has to go through get out of your system one way, and another way is through the skin. But something fairly easy to do is do a colon cleanse and a kidney flush, and it will get that stuff that's been stuck in you and residing in you. And I almost do it every day. That's how bad things are with me. And from that video, you can see that, my Lord, try 10 hours of that stuff falling on you every night. I fight every day trying to not be saturated and networked. I almost died a couple times overdosing on essential oils and other methods. And I get yelled at continuously because I push the envelope. But it's because I want the stuff out of me, man. It's not good. And if you have something that can counteract this stuff, God bless you, V, because I'll tell you what, the things that I do, I work with Tony Pasqualero and Herbs Plus Beads work, and I use the nano triangles and the hot compresses, hot sea salt in a compress with white vinegar on my lesions. It pulls the stuff out, but it helps you feel good, man, because, man, I'll tell you what, this stuff is itchy, it's bad, and it makes me feel dirty, man. It's horrible. And to deal with that
also helps. I'm sorry. Well, something that also helps is distilled water. You need to drink distilled water. It's people say, oh well, distilled water just takes all the nutrients and minerals out of your body. No, it does. It takes all the inorganic minerals out of your
And
body.
fluoride.
It takes all the stuff, the dead minerals. They're not supposed to be in your body. It takes it out. That is it magnetically, pulls that stuff out. I mean, that's what cleans our body. That we couldn't, do without it. We're 70%, 80% water. So that's nature's vacuum cleaner. Pure
Absolutely.
distilled water.
The other thing that I use is a negative ion generator. And Brian, he's on Facebook. He does a lot of stuff for anti-nano stuff. And, the first thing is to get the biofilm off your body. And, you can do saline baths and all that. Well, Brian mentioned, he says, take some olive oil and put a little peppermint essential oils in there and rub it on your skin. And with the negative ions, it loosens up the biofilm on your skin with the olive oil. And I'll tell you what, that did a real good job. And I do it every once in a while now. I was doing it a lot. And what it does is your skin softens up with the essential oils and olive oil, and the negative ions get in there and breaks down that biofilm. And I prefer the baths over that because it's not as messy. But if you're having a hard time getting the biofilm off, that's definitely one way. And then the negative ions just in the air helps alleviate some of the graphene and nano in the air. It doesn't break it down or anything like that, but it seems like it doesn't like it because I do experiments with it all the time. Whatever I can to get over on the nano, man. Peppermint, it hates peppermint too. So,
well, let me ask you: have you gone about getting a toxicology report?
That's where we're going next, and what we're planning on doing, and this will be the final, hopefully, action before I can start filing some major lawsuits. Is once we get scanned and we do the toxicology, they'll probably find frequencies coming off our body by getting it scanned in the H-SCADA. Once that happens, those frequencies are associated with people who own them frequencies, universities, research grants, and all that. Well, how in the hell are they going to deny me when I have Emory-Riddle University flying over me 5-6 times a day, and Emory-Riddle owns a frequency, and that frequency is coming off my body? I would say I have a pretty damn solid case then, wouldn't you? Because number one is they didn't fly over this house 2 years ago, and now they fly over 5 times a day, and now I have a frequency that's coming off my body that is owned by Emory-Riddle University. That's just an example. But that's kind of where we're going. And like I said, it's baby steps to try and get the documentation done, which we have. Then getting scanned, which takes money. And being a TI, you're always broke, so you're screwed. So I'm trying to come up with money to get scanned. And once I get scanned and I put it all together, and I'll do it all myself because I don't trust anyone, then I'm going to go find an attorney. And if I can't find an attorney, I'll file it myself. I don't care. The thing is, I found no one's going to help you being a TI, so you got to do it yourself. And that's, there's a lot of TIs out there. Well, I need this, I need that. You know what? You don't need anything. Do it yourself. Stand up for yourself and start taking ownership of your responsibility of your actions and make things happen. I help TIs out all the time, the best I possibly can. But when I help someone more than once because they keep asking for more stuff and they don't do anything on their own, I'm done. I don't have the time anymore to do it, and I don't have the energy. But one of the things is documentation is the biggest thing. I have database after database of pictures of the perps, the cars they drive, their license plates. I have the nano that's being dumped on me. I have the date, time, when. You got to break it down into usable chunks of data that you can go back later and disseminate for legal purposes. Do I want to do this? Hell no, man. I want to go back to having a normal life, but there is no more normal life. Not with all this stuff going on.
Absolutely. There is no more normal life. These criminals in their covert harassment, in their back channel communications, tell me all the time, hey, just do you, just live a normal life, and normal life is over. I can't go back to where I was. I can't unknow what I've learned. I can't unfeel what I feel. You know, that there's no going back. So I'm going forward with everything that I said I'm going forward with. And so, as I want to really point out my disgust at this university. I mean, even when the government is corrupt and doing all the things they're doing, we should be able to, as people go to the university, say, hey, let's speak to whatever department, hey, this is going on, that's going on. They should be interested in seeing what the hell's going on. But no, looks like they've actually gotten to the universities and, yeah, they're all a part of it.
So, V, I said this the other night to my wife. I said, okay, as a child, children, when I grow up, I want to be a policeman. Oh, that's a first responder. I don't want to be that. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a teacher. Well, guess what? I want to be a psychiatrist. I look at this, and they're all tainted. Think about it, doctors are in on this. You go to a doctor, they tell my wife she needs mental help when she's got a brain problem. The cops,
Yep.
there are good policemen, but there are some bad ones too involved in this. But it seems like almost every institution, I want to be a pilot. You can't be a pilot because you're all spraying chemtrails. So, like you said, we know things. I wish I didn't know half this stuff. It's horrible knowing what we know because the light at the end of the tunnel is very dim. It's not good, but I believe that Trump's making some serious progress on taking the deep state out, and I believe our hell's going to be over in a year or two. I really do, because their funding is getting cut off. And how do I know that? Is because when I go out of the house after midnight now, my gang stalking dropped probably 80% off. And it's probably and I believe it's probably because they don't have the money to fund the locals or the contractors. They're all working on a part-time basis now. Granted, during the day it's the worst ever, but at night it's completely dropped off. But then at night I get dumped on by the nano and the chemtrails. But I do believe that Trump's initiative to take out the deep state is going to definitely help us. The executive order against human trafficking and human abuses and civil liberties, I believe that we fall under that category. I just hope I'm alive to see it, because it's going to take a while to trickle down to our level. But taking out the pedophiles, taking out the people in government that are nefarious and are part of the deep state, that's great. When it gets to Raytheon and Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin and they start nailing them guys, that's when we should start seeing our stuff really starting to waver and go away. And that's why I want to get my lawsuits done and implemented, because I write the president at least once a week. I write Trey Gowdy, Congressman Gowdy. I write Wyden. I write these guys and say, listen, man, I'm a good American being killed by Americans on American soil. Please help. I mean, come on, man. It would be different if it was some freaking Russians or something trying to hurt me. I'd do something back to them, if you know what I mean. But, these are how these people can look themselves in the mirror at night, knowing that they just got done gang stalking a fellow American that they don't know anything about. So I've taken it one step farther, man. When I identify these people, I write them a letter. And I wrote a guy from a major church here in Lake County. I have him on video. I know who he is because I did research on him a while ago. I wrote him a letter. Said, listen, you work out? I used to work out. You have a daughter? I've got a daughter. I'm the same kind of guy as you, man. But yet I'm targeted, and here you are, an distinguished member of the church, and your congregation are all gang stalking me. You don't know me, man. I'm a good person. I have a daughter. I'm a husband. I'm a son of good parents. Who gives you the right to do this to someone you don't even know? You've been lied to, as Karen Stewart wrote. You've been lied to. Yes, you have. Because I've done nothing to deserve anything like this. But I'll tell you what, these people are going to pay in this life or the next for what they've done to us, because we're innocent. I might have been a hard-ass 1%, club member, and I love riding motorcycles. I'm still a good person and one of God, man. Y'all can kiss my ass for hurting my wife and I. We've done nothing wrong. We still don't. We hang out. We're isolated. We got no friends. Got no money. But yet I fight every day to survive. And you know what motivates me is getting over on them. I'm not going to let them win, man. I'll die fighting. You know, that's all it is, man.
That's what I like to hear. Exactly. Oh yeah. There are no free lunches in nature. They have to pay eventually. So this thing called consequences, which they somehow feel they're above. When the Wile E. Coyote feels that gravity underneath them, I'm gonna love it. So I want to thank you for being on the show. Do you have a way for people to get a hold of you? Do you want people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. My email is ti.positiveproof@gmail.com. I go by Proof. My real name's Alan, but I go by Proof. I'm willing to help anybody and everyone. But if I give you something, please do it, man, because I'm not going to waste my time. My wife and I are starting to make these anti-nano triangles for people, and we're just covering our costs because they really help. You put them in a bathtub, and it helps disassemble the network inside you. And I'm coming up with some other things, but the main thing is take your potassium iodide and do your research. I'm not going to do it for you, but if you need help, I'll help you, man. I try and help everyone at least once, and you know, if you take what I give you and you run with it, I'll give you more. You know, and B, I thank you, man. We've known each other for a while, and you're doing a great job, and anything I can do to support you and your endeavors, man, just ask, man. You know, it's we gotta stay together, man. Fight together.
Absolutely, that's much appreciated. Thank you. Well, I definitely wish you and your wife the best. Please, my love, and all of the crew and audience from the Red Pill. All right, thank you.